You're listening to Saunders and Cash on KSUN 95.9, Wichita's only community radio station. I'm Floyd Saunders.
And I'm Sean Cash. We're talking business and technology and the ICT. And you know, Floyd, I'm not positive, and I'm not going to bet the farm on it, but I think I might have...
You have a farm?
No, but if I had one, I probably wouldn't bet it. But figuratively speaking, I might have earned my son's respect.
Your son's respect?
Yeah.
Because...
we have a global podcast.
And we have a global radio station.
We have
a
global radio station.
Show.
Yeah, radio show.
All as a result of our guest, actually.
Absolutely, and it's nice when we have returning guests, old friends. It's like old friends coming home, and we're going to hang out and have a chat.
And tell more of the story about entrepreneurship here in Wichita.
Yeah, it's
and
nice when somebody
stories and their transitions and challenges. Welcome to the show, Fabrice.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So we are here with Fabrice Metan, and he's been here before. He's part of the Mad Ad guys.
That's
the
right.
Mirrored advertising that you see in Picasso's and Mort's and some other places around town.
Jimmy's Egg.
Such a great idea.
And it's cool technology.
That's why we had him on the show the first time. They had this really cool technology we wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
And you've got something else you want to talk about and promote.
That's correct. I actually put a branding on something that I've been doing for years, but I just now decided that, more people needed, the expertise and that I could actually offer it now. So, Simplify My Numbers. It's basically a financial accounting and consulting company, because I've been an accountant by trade. I've been working in accounting for, the past 10 years. Went to college for accounting and everything. And most people in the entrepreneurial community know me as a co-founder of Mad Ad Company, but the majority may not know that I'm actually an accountant. That's the main thing, too, is that, as accountants, most people see us as people that don't really have a personality. Most accountants don't.
So the legal disclaimer for the radio station is that not all accountants are bad. But my comments about Fabrice did not insinuate that accountants aren't funny and have bad jokes. Just say.
But the unique thing is that you have this business background. You've been an entrepreneur. You have an MBA from Wichita State.
That's right.
You know the ins and outs of numbers, and you know how to help companies understand their numbers. And that's why you want to do this, right?
That's exactly right. And, the transition for me has been that professionally, I was, a controller, CFO for, fairly large companies, that were making kind of millions of dollars on a yearly basis. But once I quit my day job and said I wanted to do my own thing and go in side by side with my partners and ran Mad Ad Company, I got a chance to go into a different world, which was the really small businesses, very small teams, and seeing the different challenges that they go through. And when I did that, I got a chance to see other things,
Right.
And realize that there's a lot of things that I've learned throughout my professional career that actually transitions really well for that level. It's just that most people just don't think they can afford it. I had to find a way to bring that knowledge and
we've had guests on the
services.
show that are doing outsourced marketing and other kinds of things. Basically, what you're doing is being an outsourced CFO.
That's exactly right.
So you can come in and help a small business set their books up, and they do the day-to-day data entry, and you review it.
Well, so I actually do the whole thing. So the day-to-day data entry, what I always say is, to me, that's not really where the value is. That's kind of something that you absolutely have to have, regardless, because of compliance and everything. But at the end of the day, it's in the reports and in understanding those numbers, the analysis and everything. That's where the major value is. And so what I try to offer my clients is pretty much all of that, and more, basically.
And you can do it more efficiently and give more value than if I went out and hired a CFO that may cost me,
Right,
a lot.
exactly. And that's kind of the main reasons why most small business owners don't believe they can hire a CFO. It's just very expensive.
It's very expensive.
But if you could have that, outsourced and kind of get the most important parts of that job, at an affordable rate, then it makes a little bit more sense.
A lot of sense. Yeah.
Have you encountered a situation where the entrepreneur just doesn't understand the numbers in the first place?
Yeah, a lot.
People are going to business because they want to sell a product, or
sure.
they have a great idea and they want to pursue it, or they're tired of the corporate job and they want to do something else, and they never even think about the numbers, right?
Yeah, the majority of business owners that I meet understand their bank account. Right, it stops there, right? So they kind of run the business based on the cash and what is going on in the company, but they don't really know if they're profitable. They can't tell you what their break-even point is. They can't really tell you. So So when it's time to raise money, and this is something that you hear from most entrepreneurs, everybody wants to raise money. When it's that time, they don't quite understand where to start. The financial statements are not ready. They can't really talk with the
Some
bank.
of them don't
in a
even know what
way.
financial statements are. or
Yeah,
how to
and
generate them.
so there's a lot of things that people just don't know that I somewhat took for granted when I went into my entrepreneurial career, just simply because I've known
'Cause
that
you were an
my
accountant
entire
and, yeah,
my
you did
entire
it your
time.
career.
But now that I'm realizing how bad it is, I'm thinking, wow, okay, there's really a need out there, and so if I can help more, then why wouldn't?
Well, that goes right in line to what we talk about, and we'll bring that up after the break, is that having a good team of advisors as a business owner. So you're listening to Saunders and Cash. We're here with Fabrice Metan of Simplify My Numbers, Outsourced CFO accounting service. We'll be right back after the break.
Cash on KSUN 95.9. This is Floyd Saunders.
And I'm Sean Cash. We're here with Fabrice Metan of Simplify My Numbers, and we're talking about the outsourced CFO and the expertise that you bring to small business and helping them do their accounting and their bookkeeping and their financials, which is a big part of business. But sometimes that's a little intimidating. I know as a business owner myself, that was one area where I knew I was weak and I wasn't confident in it, and I always brought people in. So how do you begin to work with a new client?
For sure. And so, that right there explains kind of why the name of the company is Simplify My Numbers, because I understood that the average business owner is a little bit intimidated with numbers. And so just because they think it's complex, they don't get it and all of that. And so I wanted something that the minute they see, they understand, okay, we're good. We're kind of in the comfort zone. You're going to take care of it. You're going to help me understand this a little bit better. Now, when I first meet with, prospective clients, it always starts with a free consultation. So I sit down with them, generally for 30 minutes, just understanding their business. How do you make money? Like, why do you do this and all of that? And it gives me a pretty good picture of, okay, this is kind of what your revenue is based off of, and these are the common expenses that you might have. Once we take care of all of that and they decide that they do want to work with me, I utilize what they know to create projections. And the reason why I do that is because I always explain to business owners that you kind of want to have a scorecard. You kind of want something that you can always compare your actual numbers to. And so by establishing those projections, we go in, we put the numbers and get an idea of what you're going to do over the next 12 months.
So you help them establish
then-
goals and
That's
and
right.
where they're at and where they want to be. and
Exactly,
things like
but
that.
in the numbers.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so then we take that and then we say, okay, I'm going to, from now on, take care of, your bookkeeping, making sure that all these transactions are recorded. But at the end of the month, we're going to have this one meeting, this monthly meeting, where we go through and look at what you did versus what you thought you were going to do. And that is the tough part, right? Most people don't want to face that, but I'm actually thinking it is, extremely important for them to better
Sure.
the business.
Sure.
I recall when I first started my first business, it was a consulting company around training development, and I really didn't think about the financial stuff, right? And somebody asked me one day, what is your margin? And I'm like, what? What?
Exactly.
Margin? No, I'm making money. What do
Right.
you mean margin? I don't sell products. I
Right.
sell services.
Mhm.
And so that can be as basic as that, right? So,
That's exactly right. Yeah. You'll be surprised what people don't know when it comes to
And-
financials and things like that.
And yet they're wildly successful. Working with a client where I was doing some marketing consulting, and I was asking them about their cost of goods sold. And after a few minutes, realized he had no idea what I was talking about. And he finally said, "Sean, I just doubled my cost, so I know I'm making money." And I said, "So if you buy something for $1, you sell it for $2? Yeah, so I know I'm making money." I said, "What if it costs you $3 to install it?" And the look on his face said it all. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I never considered my cost
That's exactly
in
right.
labor and
Yeah.
everything else." So,
Figuring out that gross profit is also something that most people don't understand. Like what all goes into you delivering that service or that product.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And
So as an outcome of working with you as an outsourced CFO,
Mm-hmm.
I can understand my margin, my gross product sales, and figure out whether I'm actually making money and if I'm making enough money to stay in business or grow, right?
That's exactly right. And then which areas do you need to spend more time in? Because a lot of the times you kind of spread yourself thin in several areas of your business, thinking, oh, I need to do commercial and residential work. For example, if you take construction, for example, when sometimes you have to realize you're not making so much money in this section of your business. This is where you make the
Yeah,
most.
this-
So who's your
This
ideal
and things
customer?
like that. And so right now, the way that I look at it is I want it to be, small businesses generally between 1 to about 3 to 4 employees. You know what I mean? And the ones that are making less than $250,000 a year.
That's us. There's two of us, and we're making zero. Zero is less.
That's not zero. We have paid sponsors.
The reason why is because, although, I'm not saying no to the large companies that come and ask for help. Of course, I would help, but I've noticed what that major need was because and how much people do not know when it comes to this level. You know what I mean? That side of businesses. And so those are the ones that I really would love to be able to help more. Mm-hmm.
I know there are three core disciplines in business, and it's marketing, operations, and finance. And a lot of people are weak on finance, and a lot of them will admit, like I just did, that was my weakness when I ran my business. And so being able to have a trusted source that has the expertise and can come in and say, hey, this is where you should be working or focusing is huge. So if anyone who's listening has an interest in learning more, where should they go? So how can they contact you?
For sure. So our website is simplifymynumbers.com. And my email is fabrice@simplifymynumbers.com. And so basically on the website, you'll get a pretty good idea of what we do. I write a lot of different blogs to talk about the problems that small business owners face when it comes to accounting and things like that. And it's actually pretty fun. It's not as boring as people might think accounting is, but yeah, that's basically how people can find it.
It's definitely an arsenal that you need in your toolbox. It's definitely someone that you need in your advising board, your
right.
consulting
And you're going
group.
to tell us more about the free training you're going to offer, right? Just as soon as we come back from our break?
For sure.
All right, well, let's do the break so we can get back to the free training. You're listening to Saunders and Cash. We are here with Fabrice Metan of Simplify My Numbers, the Outsourced CFO. We'll be back right after this break.
We're back from the break. This is Saunders and Cash. I'm Floyd Saunders.
And I'm Sean Cash, and we're here with Fabrice Metan of Simplify My Numbers, an Outsourced CFO. And going into the break, Floyd told everyone that you're offering free training. Tell us about that.
On what?
Yeah.
What are you training people on? That's what we
For
really
sure.
wanna know.
And I try to, take all the topics that I believe as an entrepreneur, because I am an entrepreneur myself. What do we care about when it comes to numbers, right? We don't want to get into the very complicated stuff when it comes to accounting, but there are certain things that we need to understand a little bit better. And so I'm trying to take, just those topics and offer, 1-hour classes, free classes, just so people kind of understand that a little bit better.
So no time value of money calculation classes, right?
There's not going to be a final exam where I have to learn formulas.
No exam or anything like that. It's just going to be a fun class of us discussing, a topic that I believe, most entrepreneurs want to know about. And what I did is I went in just asking those entrepreneurs too, during my presentations and things like that. Those are the topics I'm thinking about. What do you guys think? What do you care about most and things like that? And I just kind of narrowed down what matters most to most people, and that's what we'll talk about.
That's
You
called
can
marketing.
mention where you make those presentations
Yeah,
at.
you
You
can.
were at
1 million cups.
Come on.
Yeah, and you asked the audience. You had sign-up sheets. So basically, you got feedback from your audience, your customers, to say,
That's
I'd
right.
like to learn about this or this or this. And then where the most popular responses were where you're going to start your class.
That's exactly right.
That's marketing. I thought you were an accountant.
Well, that's what's funny, right? So
Market
we
research.
You mentioned earlier that I'm the co-founder of Mad Ad Company as well, which
So
is
you've learned a few things about marketing.
That's right. So advertising
accounting.
and marketing agency, and so obviously we were based on innovation and creative and all of that. And so in the process, we've learned the importance of networking, the importance of presenting in front of people and explaining what we do so that they get a better understanding. Because a lot of the times, as entrepreneurs, we're stuck believing that we have the greatest product and people will just see it and just get it. It never happens that way.
There's very
so.
little that can distinguish one accounting firm, one CPA firm, one guy with an MBA that wants to do accounting from the next guy, right? What's your distinguishing thing?
Yeah, for me, it is more, being able to translate what accounting means and what you should care about in a very simplified way for entrepreneurs.
Because you're not just an accountant type person. You
That's right.
are also an entrepreneur that understands what that experience is.
Exactly, because I can speak their language. Exactly. I can speak their language. We've seen the same challenges and successes, and so I can translate that well to them. And the typical CPA, I feel put a lot more emphasis on just the end goal, which, the taxes and the compliance and things like that, but not how much the numbers can actually help you better your business, which is kind of the area where I'm in.
Right, and so can you also customize it based on the business? 'Cause a manufacturer may have different outcomes and ratios than an attorney or a service provider, right?
For sure.
So you can kind of customize.
Yeah, and that's where the initial consultation is so important, because I need to understand your business well enough to see how do you need to see your projections. There's service businesses that don't necessarily look at a cost of goods sold, right? Because they're not selling widgets or products and things like that. But they're going to emphasize a lot on overhead expenses and things like that too. So we got to think about all these things and put it in perspective when,
And not just take a cookie cutter blanket, one size fits all approach to the business. So,
Exactly.
And so that is, again, I'm going to kind of go back to what Floyd and I have said many times on the show. You got to have that core team of trusted advisors that you can go to, and the attorneys, the marketers, the accountants, and that's where you fit in with Simplify My Numbers.
So when is this next class, or actually I guess the first class, right? It's coming up soon.
Yeah,
right?
so the first class, I'm going to have it on Thursday, August 15th. It's going to be at 5:30 p.m. And I actually collaborated with another company in town called Grassfire Industries. So they're sponsoring the event by allowing me to use, the classroom that they have. And it's going to be located at 8406 West Maple Street. So that's 8406 West Maple Street, and on August 15th.
In Wichita. So when you're listening to this in the podcast in a foreign country,
That's right.
you'll have to be careful there.
Yeah, I should have mentioned. In
Wichita.
Wichita.
We do have a foreign
We do. We have. We're on
people
every
in
single
Canada,
continent.
and Germany.
Hopefully in the
and
future I could be
Australia.
traveling doing this, so we'll see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's coming up. And what else do you have planned in the future for Simplify My Numbers?
I want to see how many businesses can I continue to help under my, by myself, and then start growing with bringing help, bringing accountants that are, understand what I'm doing, believe in the concept of it, and understand, how much it can help entrepreneurs, and still have, good enough personality to, to relate to them and things like that. And so the idea is to be able to grow my team and have several accountants that are doing the same thing.
The 5-year plan is to franchise this nationwide. Is that it?
I don't know if I would say, a franchise model just yet.
Simplify My Numbers. It's just like H&R Blocks for taxes, right?
It might be. I don't know.
So
We'll see.
how much do we get when he franchises, since it was our idea?
Yeah.
See how I worked myself right into Floyd's idea on your business? That's creativity. That's why I'm the marketer.
Sure.
Well, let's learn more about what your future growth plans are when we come back from our break, right?
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. You're listening to Saunders and Cash on KSUN 95.9. We're here with Fabrice Metan of Simplify My Numbers, which you can find out more about training and your business at simplifymynumbers.com. And as always, check out saundersandcash.com and our social media sites for more information on us. Thanks for listening.
We're back from the break. You're listening to Saunders and Cash.
I'm Sean Cash, and we are here with Fabrice Metan of Simplify My Numbers and Outsourced CFO. You manage other people's accounting, so you take businesses that come to you and do the outsourced accounting. So when you sit down with a new client and establish goals, how do you establish your pricing model? Is it on an hourly basis, or is it a percentage of growth? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I had to do something a little bit different, just because I understood that the reason why small businesses don't hire CFOs because they can't really afford it, right? And so,
Or they think they can afford it.
or they think they can afford it until now, right? But the idea was that I didn't want to have the same concept of what we usually do as accountants, where we just bill you by the hour. My hourly rate is $50 or $65 an hour, and we charge you, however many hours we do at the end of the month. And instead, what I said was, I'm going to base it as a small percentage of the revenues that you bring in. That way, that it is only tied to what you can truly, afford, because it's based on what you bring in. Now, there's always a floor, right? So there's a minimum fee of $99 that I charge on a monthly basis, just simply because once you have an expert by your side, what are you going to do as a small business owner? Every time you have a question, you're going to call. Every time you're going to call. So there's going to take a lot of time already. And so at a minimum, we start there. But then after that, my percentage ranges between 2.5 to 5% of what the revenue brings in, so that the clients, as long as they're not, if they're too early in the game, they don't necessarily have to pay more. But then as they grow, we grow together.
That also puts some skin in the game for you, because you want to make that as efficient and profitable as possible, because that's part of your income.
That's exactly exactly
part
right.
of your payment.
And so, what I always tell my clients is, your job is, you understand your business, and your job is to sell it as much as possible so you can make as much revenue as possible. My job is to help you become more profitable so you can keep most of that money. And so, even though you're paying me based off of revenue, I'm allowing you to keep more of that money regardless, so that, you know what I mean, you eventually
So
come
this
up
is
top.
an
share in the
unusual pricing strategy for an accountant. Usually it's not performance-based. Basically, you're saying, I'm going to perform for you, and you're going to pay me more as I provide more
As I
benefit
deliver.
to your company, right? Really interesting.
Yeah, it is. And that's what makes it unique. We should have more out-of-the-box, unique businesses out there changing things up.
For sure. And I think, that's kind of where my entrepreneurial side comes in play. It was I couldn't just come in, as an accountant and just do things exactly the traditional way, the way we've always done it. When I know that I always think outside the box, and that was the one thing I could think of that would help businesses that are not even making more than $5,000 a month.
Where can you get a
be able to
CFO
do
quality accountant for $99 a month?
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
your growth is based on what your performance.
Exactly.
So it's not like you're going to end up with a multi-$1,000 bill at the end of the month.
Exactly.
You can control it and
That's
manage
exactly right. You can control and manage it. And then, it gives me a chance to build trust with you so that we stay together for a long time.
it forever.
Hopefully forever.
So what does it look like after 6 months or a year? How do you know when you're successful? How does the client know that he's got the value or she's got the value?
I think based on, when at the end of the month we have a chance to kind of look at what happened versus what we hoped was going to happen, which are your projections. We make decisions based on that, right? So it's not like I'm going to make all the decisions for you, but I'm going to give you some advice on, based on the numbers, it looks like this is not very profitable for you. Maybe we need to call these vendors so we can negotiate these deals. Maybe we need to save a little bit of money here and put it here and things like that. And then, maybe you need to do this so you can get more funding from the bank, from, whoever.
So that's a lot more than just the financial analysis of the numbers to say you have a certain ratio in terms of profitability or
Right.
gross revenues or what have you. It's like, okay, here's the numbers, but here's what makes sense for these numbers.
That's
right?
exactly right. It's
There's
just
not
giving you
very
a
many
meaning.
accountants that'll do that.
Right.
It's
Just giving you a
again,
meaning.
You become that trusted advisor in the business. You have
Exactly.
skin in the game, and you're going to make decisions in the best interest of the business to help it grow and meet those goals that you
Right,
guys set
because it's
together.
in my best interest anyway. So
Absolutely. So you've been in a couple different businesses in your career. You've been an employee and you've been an entrepreneur. What do you know now that you wish you would have known way back when? I mean, what are some of the learnings you've in the last 10 years throughout your roles that you'd like to share with the audience?
yeah, I would say that, entrepreneurship, as popular as it is today, it's very hard. And I think most people that are planning to get in need to, need not to underestimate how tough it is so that they have, tough skin.
Absolutely.
And they can fight.
They
You know what I
need
mean?
more than a great idea.
And exactly, more than a great idea. And there's a big transition. Like for me, being able to actually live both sides, where actually being a corporate employee and all of that, to then becoming an actual entrepreneur and running my own businesses, I see the exact difference. And I'm thinking that there's a lot of of people before they jump into business underestimate that. They underestimate
the
how much time it
difficulty,
takes
yeah.
and things like that.
So you have
And
some
so-
really valuable experiences to contribute to a small business. How can they get a hold of you again? What's the contact points?
For sure. So my email address, Fabrice, so Fabrice at simplifymynumbers.com. And the website is simplifymynumbers.com. So all of my contact information is there.
Check it out there. Remember, in a couple of weeks in August, you've got free training
That's right.
that will be going on in Wichita at Grassfire Industries, 8406 West Maple Street. For more information, you can check out the website. And as always, you can go to saundersandcash.com for more information on Fabrice's business, his background, and other guests that have been on the show. We appreciate you, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Fabrice. It was fun.